Alrighty. Hopefully everything's running like it's supposed to today. Trying to look at everything to make sure we've got what we need. There's a couple questions from the last stream that some folks asked me to check on. So, all right. My name's Nick. Some of you may know me as Silent Nick or Serious Nick from Exploring with Nug. That's Jeremy Side's YouTube channel. Go out and do a little adventures with him and whatnot, and try and help solve cold cases and pull trash out of the rivers and look for little river treasures and things like that. So it's kind of inspired by Jeremy to get back into YouTube and actually get going. Somebody from yesterday asked for me to kind of touch on some of the stuff that I've created over the years, whether it be for film or for the military and whatnot. Got an online portfolio. As you can see here, it's up on ArtStation, and the link is actually in the description of this video. Some of the stuff I've created is this door knocker. It's done in monster clay, and it's basically molded and recasted and painted, and it's sitting somewhere. I really don't know where now. But I also have a product line of Jeep emblem stuff that I created. In fact, I need to take this tag off for the promotion because that promotion's over. But you can actually go up on my eShop. If you click right here, and it'll take you to the stuff that I've made over the years. Let's see if we can increase the size. There we go. These are custom emblems that I've made. They're 3D sculpted in ZBrush. These right here are kind of one of my favorites. They're the evil bulldog skulls. Let's see if we can actually bring this up. But they replace your OEM badges on your Jeeps. And as you can tell, we've got quite a few of them when it comes to the actual different styles. So let's go back. I've got all kinds of little things in here that I've created over the years. And I do take customer requests, and I'll actually build things out for people, which will bring us into, let's see, we do need a chat overlay so I can at least know that everybody's here, or if anyone's here at all. I wonder if I can actually put this right here. Nope. 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 Can't even move that, can we? Yeah, you can, but it swaps that. We don't want to do that. All right, so let's keep on going. So this is our little character that we're working on. I need to back up a little bit because what the standard workflow is that we would come in and actually do something along the lines of creating what we call a character style sheet. And that would be back on, oh, goodness gracious, Nicholas. I could mess up almost anything. All right, so character designs, right? So we create what we call a style sheet. Starts out in something similar to this. So we'd start doing busts, just like kind of like ideas, if you will. And this particular one will go through so many iterations. You'll start squashing and stretching the head, squash and stretch the eyes, and then we do a turnaround. So a front, a side, 3/4 view, and a back. Then we'll actually render out the full body. say this is for a different character. As you can see, we did different type of grayscale coloring schemes. Then once we have something like that type of artwork, we'll go ahead and start busting out the 3D figure. And again, this is done in ZBrush and then rendered. I think I rendered this in Keyshot. No, I think I actually rendered this in ZBrush now that I'm looking at it. But you'll want to do the same thing. You know, front, three-quarter back, if you can, a side and a back. The front, back, side, and three-quarter are like industry standard. As years have progressed, we've actually changed a lot of this. If you don't mind sending me a chat through the chat doohickey there, I greatly appreciate it. That way I know who's on and who's not. Trying to bring up the live. There it is. I'm going to mute my side right here, though. All right. Let me type in here. Hey, Sean. Very happy that you're able to get in here. That's awesome. You're working. So if you don't mind me asking, what do you do? Hopefully I'll get to see some of these actual chats through this. Let's see here. There we go. Live chat. That's even better. Software development. All right. So you have an idea of kind of what we're messing with. That's probably why you were asking about what kind of hardware I was running. This specific machine, like I said, it was tailor-made to do virtual reality workflows, but it was deployable, or it is deployable. So essentially, I take this rig and I would take it to whatever location, set up my VR, and start working in real time so that I can show the client what it is they're going to be working on or what it is we're going to create. Unfortunately, those ambitions were very, very high when I bought the system, and we ended up having to scale that back because the VR world hasn't really caught up, in my opinion, when it comes to the doing what I can in ZBrush versus something like Gravity Sketch. Gravity Sketch is another piece of software that you can create things in real time, but it's more of a NURBS with attributes style modeling versus pixel-based information, which is what ZBrush runs off of. So hopefully that kind of answers your questions. And thank you very much, Sean, for tuning in. All right, so back at this little character here. As you can see, the head is completely oversized, and I'm not really digging that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to say, create a new folder, and we'll say head. Another feature that was added not too long ago in ZBrush, being able to use folders, and it is amazing. Back in the day, everything was under your subtool palette. So we're going to take this and we're going to say transpose the set. So as you see, this grays out. We need to hold down the Alt key. We're going to redo our modifier, or gizmo, I think is what they're calling it now. We're going to go to the center. Oops. That's because we have symmetry on. Let's try that again. The center of unmasked should put us in the head. So head needs to come forward. We're actually going to move this down to where the base of the skull would be. Somewhere right about there. We're going to scale it down just ever so much. Seems like we can scale it this way or that way. And there's lots of deformers too that we could get into. In fact, let's touch on that real quick. So we have a deformer. I can go in 3D space. I select this little guy, and I can actually pull the overall box geometry back into it. So I mean, it's like I said, it's very powerful software if you're wanting to mess around with organic style workflows. You can do hard surfacing, hard surface style modeling inside ZBrush. Back in the day, it made it very difficult to do that. It's because it was based more on sculpting, right? So with the addition of the Z Modeler tool, which we'll get to later, let's see here, let's go back to this, click and say reset. I'll go back to Gizmo 3D. And do all that. Full reset. There we go. Now we're back into this world. Is it still doing that? That's why. You got to delete the actual modifier. We delete the modifier and we're back in this world. Let's see here, quit. Forgive me if I stumble through this a little bit because I'm used to doing this by myself. I talk to myself quite a bit when I'm doing it, so I'm not sure if it's just having someone watching. Kind of makes me nervous. Yes, I got into development to create games a long time ago. Played with Blender and Unity, but don't have to dedicate to it. Yeah. How do you like Blender? Personally, was not a fan of it. Not to sound like a complete butthole, but whenever I started in the 3D world, you didn't have free software. So we had to pay for everything. And those of us that busted our tails and self taught, went to school, all this stuff to do 3D. Yeah, we all busted our butts to go do 3D and pay all that extra money. And then all of a sudden they make the software free. It's kind of like a slap in the face because now everybody is a 3D modeler. And it's like, I don't know, bub. You know, I mean, there are some great 3D modelers out there that have learned on Blender. But if you ask them to actually model traditionally, like say in the, and what I mean by modeling is sculpt traditionally in the real world, doing it analog, it's not many of them can do it. So where was I? Yeah, we need to turn these eyeballs off there. And I want to hit quit for 1 second. Go back. Lighten that mask up. So what this will allow me to do is actually scale this in ever so much. That. Let's see here. Quit. Overall shape language of this thing is really not screaming at me, saying I like it. I know I do not like using this restream. I'm not happy with it at all. I would rather just launch it straight from YouTube. and be done with it, but I'm learning that I can't do that. There we go. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I get it, man. Everybody, it seems like when we're struggling artists, we're all strapped for cash when we get in there. And there's nothing wrong with using Blender, and it's good to get in there and use it and learn the basics. Believe it or not, ZBrush is actually free for 30 days. Or let me rephrase that. It was free for 30 days. I don't know now that Pixelogic's been bought out, whether or not that's still true. I would hope so. Um, that was one of the reasons why I stayed with ZBrush for so long, is because every iteration of ZBrush they released from back in the day of, like, I don't know, ZBrush 2, maybe, it was free. Like, if you bought it once, that was it. You know, they upgraded you for free, no problem. There was no subscription, there was none of that. It was, you just paid it one time and called it a day. So I'm really hoping that they actually keep with that model a little bit better. A little bit better facial structure too. I like that. Pull your temple in. This needs to come out slightly. Better. I will say this though, that I hear, and I can't speak from experience because I've never been in the game industry itself. But it's tough to get into from what I hear. One of my professors, when I was at the Art Institute of Atlanta, his name's Brian Wina. He was at Naughty Dog. He's worked in both film and games, from what I understand. An amazing, amazing artist. Yeah, that'll work. I like the head. All right, so let's get in here to these eyes real quick. Eyelids. I didn't know Blender has a game engine. I did not know that at all. Yeah, I've messed with Unity a little bit. I started playing around with Unreal just a little bit. I found that the blueprints, it's almost like relearning a vocabulary, like in ZBrush, you have Z tools, which is the model. You have a Z, like the brush itself is the tool to actually manipulate the surface. It has layers, but the subtools are kind of what act like layers. So coming from the Photoshop, Illustrator, and desktop publishing world, some of that vocabulary changed, um, and came over into ZBrush okay. But in Unreal and in Unity, my brain hasn't quite wrapped around the shift. So I'm sitting here looking at this. It says 2 watching now. I'm curious whether or not the 2 is anyone other than myself and you, Sean. All right, though, if it is. I will say one of the things that about doing these streams, it is motivating to get back in here and fight what I call the suck. And in the creative world, it the suck is like procrastination, right? Um, for an artist to sit down and work, it takes a lot out of them because you're sharing something that's near and dear, I would say. Not to sound too silly. Let's do auto groups and pull this down and out, down and out, down, out. Um, I don't know if you had the same thing in Blender, Sean, but you know the like Control Shift Alt left middle mouse button, hold your foot up in the air. Um, the short keys, you know, like I know in Maya some of the menus you couldn't even get to without knowing those shortcuts. All good, brother, man. Go straight into your meeting. I greatly appreciate it, though. See, I'm digging this a little more over there. And the eye itself it's so complicated, especially to get right. So let's do this. I want to do auto groups again, but I want to do mirror and weld. I want to turn on symmetry by hitting X. So you can actually change your symmetry right here. This is Y. So like it's in different directions. You can do it in Z. So it goes front and back. Pull this back in here. So we need to, where's my stylus? Ouch. All right. Lower this. Need a little inflate. Topical. Oh, one of the major pieces of equipment that you will need, or let me rephrase that, that you are going to want to need, that you are going to want to have is a stylus and a digitizer. Um, what I'm using is a Wacom Cintiq to make like a Wacom bamboo, anything that you can use a stylus, because a lot of this is done with like brush strokes of the hand versus using a mouse. So let's see here. I need to go down here and I want to geometry, smooth divide. I want to divide that again. Let's say delete lower, down mesh, project, keep groups, down mesh. And I need my build-up brush. Oh, not that. Face. Even make this believable. Let's do something to this. Gonna get this lip back. Turn that off. Stop. Go back. Select the top eyelid for right now. Oh, gotta reset the smooth brush. Hold down shift, hit brush, curve, edit, reset, bring that down. What's funny is how many people truly think like that, oh, well, you could just sit down and do like a time lapse, of this. Yeah, I mean, you could do a time lapse. The processing power in which that you're going to need to capture this information and actually get the work done, capture the time lapse and be able to post it is ridiculous because the sheer amount of information that you're using on your hard drive is going to cause your system to slow down. The only reason why I know that is speaking from experience. Been almost done with a project, and I was time lapsing it just for fun, and it crashed. Smooth this out some. It looks like they were just kind of redoing what we just did, but we're actually not. I'd hope to show you guys some of the film work that I've done, but a lot of the stuff is still under NDAs. Some of it hasn't been released yet, especially the most recent pictures. Hopefully, they'll be releasing soon. One is Where All Light Tends to Go, has Hopper Penn and Billy Bob Thornton in it. Both great people, wonderful people to work with. I was the prop master on that show. Excuse me, assistant prop master. I was the prop master on Cinnamon, directed by Brian Montgomery Jr. Can't remember the actor and actress that's in it. And I don't want to spoil the plot or anything, so just get a chance. It's a kind of like a Bonnie and Clyde type deal. It's a good film. There we go. Excuse me. So let's go over here and hit turn the eyeball back on. Actually, no, we turn it on the lower eyelid. There it is. The main things when it comes to sculpting characters is planes. And what I mean by that is there are planes to every surface. So we have a plane that actually comes out this way. Then you have another plane that's around this way. So there creates an edge. Sculpture is nothing more than working with light and shadow in 3D, even in traditional sculpture. Flat back some. Got a feeling that this geometry right here is going to cause us a problem here in a bit. What I'm doing is actually making that little tear duct in the eye. Like, well, it's a cartoon. I mean, why would you want to have that? Believe it or not, little things like that do pick up and read. And whenever the body doesn't have it or the character doesn't have it, something's weird. It just makes it wrong feeling. And before you get ready to start like omitting parts of the body out on any creature that you create, you gotta learn the basics before you can break the rules. And then you learn how to break them. Another professor taught me that. That was Alan Barnes. Phenomenal illustrator, and it's amazing. I think he's actually teaching. Can't remember the name of the school. I have to look it up and post it. Damn it, go back. So if I was going to animate this part would be very important because you would want to keep these bodies separate so that you can rig them appropriately. Some people will be like, oh, no, you don't have to do that anymore because of so. But trust me, it will make life easier. Just go ahead and do it. Because then you don't have to come back and re-rig it or recreate something once it's already further down the pipeline. There we go. Finish off geometry. ZBrush, we're going to do the same. Not going to do adaptive. We're going to keep groups. ZBrush. It's nice to see that it's actually up on YouTube though. So that's what Restream looks like. Yeah, I really definitely don't like this whole background thing. I wish I could just make that bigger. So tell you what, we're gonna